So now you understand why this conversation is very important for us. In the last few minutes, we've been joined by the Railway Workers Union. They are represented here on stage by the General Secretary, Brother Benjamin Esuman. Welcome, sir, and grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Nana, now I can finally come to you because I was itching to hear the history about it. When we talk of the Western region, definitely we cannot leave out the Western region if we're talking about the railway sector because of the history dating back to our colonial era. But why is, help us understand that history before we get all into it. Why is the Western region known for its landmark rail lines, if I should call it?
Well, first let me thank the Yemen ambassador for the beautiful words he said here. It was nice coming here and listening to an European talking about being the same and so on, and also worried about things like climate, because there are no borders. Every border in Africa was created from Berlin, and we are paying a huge price for everything that the whole continent is divided. So when you take people like me, the war is against Berlin, the 1884-85 Berlin, and what it did to Africa. And today we are sitting here. Why did they create the colonies? They were all business interests. And the business interests that take an area of Africa, exploit it as much as you can for those who are in Europe. And that is what has brought us here. If you think about the railways, Ghana to the colonialists was a very simple thing. It was just a business concern, profit and loss. I hope you understand that. It was profit and loss. What is happening to France now? You know that is because the AES are withdrawing themselves from uranium and so on. It's the same thing. Take out whatever you can, and that's all that there is. So if they put in the railways, then they didn't put it in for your interest. They put it in for their interest. So who are those who came to do the railways? They were businessmen. Where did they go to? The objective was to get to where bauxite is, where manganese is, where the gold is, and see how they cut them out at the cheapest rates for themselves. The railways was not built for Ghanaians. It wasn't built for Africans. But we worked. And so, till the time that Nkrumah came, see that we only had Kumasi, and then it was like a V, over 10 V. Then Nkrumah cut the thing short at Huni Valley and put a line from Huni Valley to join the Accra line and go back. Now, the most interesting thing, as I always say, is that okay. The most interesting thing about the railways that I always say is that the British put the railways in order to take exploiters, but then we use the railways to kick them out. We use the railways to kick them out. There was the railway workers who virtually got rid of colonialism, that aspect of raw colonialism. Of course, that doesn't mean that our mind has been liberated, but they got rid of it at a point in time. In 1961, when they had the strike, the big railway strike to remove Nkrumah, they met my late uncle, who they saw as their chief. And I hear my uncle told them, "No one railway for when you come in Nkrumah said, "We want to know now." That's why it was like an Asafo company. And when I was young, whenever you heard the railway union, their Asafo number 0, with their gong, then you know there was trouble. Wearing red. Of course, today, having 14,000 people working for them, now I think that they are less than 1,000 people. And it's virtually dead. It would be quite interesting if you also provoke thought in the universities to do a study of the effect of the collapse, and I'm deliberately using the word collapse, of the railways on the culture of Sekenita-Grade. Because you see a place disintegrating, culturally disintegrating, and you know that this whole area developed because of the railways. We were moved out of where we lived at the beach. Most people don't even know that Escado or British Sekendi was part of it. It's partly European town. And we're kicked out to where we are because that whole area, they told my predecessors that that area was going to be used for the railways. Of course, Today, somebody sits somewhere in Accra and calls it government land. Doesn't even call it railway land. And they disperse it the way they want to disperse it. You don't have money to go and take a colonial lawyer. So you sit down and watch the abuse of your ancestral lands by people who refer to it as government land.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, young man, I'm here mainly because the conversation is about the railways.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here. But I still believe, as he was saying, that our only salvation as a country lies in the railways. However we develop it, we can. And then to point it out, some countries have developed railways without foreign investment. No foreigner is going to come and develop the railways for you. I've sat at a meeting where they were discussing a road construction. And I was sitting down feeling like laughing and crying. Why? Because that road that we were taking a loan to construct and pay, what's the name of that thing? Interest on the road, was going to an area and to be used to cut our resources out. So they were building it for Europe. But we take it that, oh, we'll pass on it for the next 10 years, and so that is it. And we're going to pay interest on it. Why? Couldn't we have done the railroad to that section? I could go on and on about this, but I'll leave it to you.
Yeah.
And then let me just correct something.
Right.
I am an honorary member of the Railway Union, even though they think that I am the patron. But I'm actually an honorary member of the Railway Union. So that's what I should tell you.
That's a good one. So which means that you're in a good position to push for behavioral change. But let's hear from the rail workers as well. I mean, what would you say is the status right now, especially from the Western region where you operate? Nana was just giving us a vivid picture of how we had thousands of you, but now the numbers have dwindled. Is that affecting your operations, and is that affecting sustainable mobility as well?
Thank you. Talking about the state now, as Nana said, our patron said, railways collapsed, and it's due to the infrastructure. And you know, railway is over 100 and something years, and due to the problem, like, it's not about the downsides of the workers. It's about the maintenance culture too, and the strong institution that will take in charge of the railway system. So all that we are saying is that if there's resource, they fuel the company with a lot of resource, that's the infrastructure, the rolling stock and everything, I think we'll be able to operate as usual. So like the olden times where we were all in cocoa, manganese, bauxite, and still government were supporting the railway sector with 70% of their weight bill. And along the line, they stopped. So